Welcome to Earth Tribes Interviews. I'm very excited to introduce all of you watching to my friend Gavin Lim. I met Gavin relatively recently and was immediately struck by his passion for working with the land, which is something that I certainly don't have a skill set yet with. So I'm interested from that perspective of how to how to be able to plant something and cultivate the soil such that it can grow whatever it is that you're planting in a healthy way. But I know you all will see how passionate Gavin is about what he does and working with the soil and the land. And just grateful you're here, Gavin. Thanks for making time for this conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love all this stuff. It's really my passion, and I'm excited to be able to talk about it freely, where people aren't kind of rolling their eyes because because I it's not just about plants. It's about the whole ecosystem, the bugs, the creepy crawlies that I'm super passionate about, and so yeah, it's a great space to be able to share that passion.
I'm glad you feel that. Just know that you're definitely speaking to your tribe here.
Awesome.
So why don't you share a bit about why, like, how did your interest in soil begin and when did that begin? And how did it grow to be something you came to be passionate about?
Yeah. Well, I always knew that I liked growing things. And when I turned about 19, I saw a commercial because I was getting into this space, watching the YouTube videos. I saw a commercial about this program called WOOF. It's Worldwide on Organic Farms. And I sent my resume out to all these different farms, and they basically give you room and board in exchange for free labor. And so it was just a perfect hands-on experience. I don't really like classrooms. And so, and once I got onto one farm, they told me, "Oh, you have to go to this other farm." And once I got on that farm, it was a biodynamic farm, and he was like, "Do you want to do this biodynamic apprenticeship?" And so I got to go on all these farms all around the United States, and I did that for like 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah, it went by fast.
I imagine.
Uh,
Oh, for the people listening who may not know what biodynamic means, could you speak to that a little bit, what that means?
oh, cool. Yeah, there's a really cool documentary on biodynamic farming. It kind of follows the story of India and how they had this green revolution where they had all these old farms that have been doing it one way, starting to use chemicals and fertilizers, pesticides, and what they found is they got 90% more. They like doubled their yields, quadrupled their yields for the first several years, and then it started to dip off as the soil became barren and lifeless. So they needed to buy more fertilizers and more pesticides every year. And if you think about their culture, they've been farming, handing down those farms for generation after generation. And so when these farmers stopped being able to make a money off of their farm, they had to sell their family farm. And so a lot of them were actually committing suicide. There was like thousands and thousands of farmers losing everything. And so the movie, it's like one man, one cow, one world, follows this biodynamic practitioner into India, where they're converting these dead and barren farms back into kind of a holistic, ritualistic way to farm that gets us back in tune with the living part aspects of farming. Um, with inoculations and all these cool rituals and stuff like that. So when I first heard about it, I was like, oh yeah. And I saw that documentary. I'm like, oh, I love this. And so I got to work on quite a few biodynamic farms and see what they're doing and do all the little preparations. And so it's definitely really cool.
And I can imagine over 14 years, you have quite a broad range of experience on different farms to learn a lot of different a lot about how to work with the soil and how to actually come back to that living piece of what it means. This is something that's very interesting to me is the human bond with Earth. In
Mm,
the modern world, we don't have to have necessarily any connection with Earth. We go to the store, all the food's there, right?
yeah.
But there's something so rewarding in just a little bit that I have done of getting my hands in the soil that is so rewarding. I can only imagine what 14 years in the
Uh-huh.
beginning led you into this path
Yeah.
of being able to work through the soil,
Mm,
work with the soil. You shared with me when I first met you this story of finding your this land where you are in Poway, and I thought you might people might like to hear that story about the
yeah.
transformation that you generated on that once barren land.
Yeah, and it definitely happened in sections, right? Over a long period of time. Me and my mom moved here when I was 10 years old in like 1999. And it's kind of typical of kind of suburban San Diego is we have a lot of sandy, it's decomposed granite. And
Hmm.
so what happens with this decomposed granite is there's no chelators in the soil. So the rain hits it and washes all the nutrients out. And it's so dry that the plants that do grow, they oxidize and don't return back to the soil. So you're constantly mining the soil and growing in sand. So it's really hard to get started here. And I remember when we drove up to this place, there was just sand, gopher holes, and one tumbleweed that managed to actually survive in this environment here. Um, and so, yeah, that's like 25 years ago at this point, and it started just me and my mom planting trees. I was the hole digger. My mom bought the trees, and I remember so long ago being like, "Oh man, um, it's gonna be like 5 years before we have fruit on this tree." And I'm on like sitting behind this tree right here, and um, this is a pomegranate, and
Pomegranate.
it's filled. And this is actually the tree I was thinking about all those years ago that was
Wow.
gonna take so long, and so. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
pretty cool.
Let's talk about manifestation right there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's remarkable. So you, as a result of what you've learned in the worldwide organic farming, you would learn so many of the principles, so many of the principles of how to be able to bring nutrients back into the soil such that you're able to plant things. And it wasn't like you were sticking those trees in sand and nutrient poor ground, earth. You were able
Yeah.
to put the life into the soil such that everything that you planted was able to start growing immediately.
So back then I didn't know about this. So I kind of did me and my mom did the typical way, which is you dig a big hole, you go to the store and you buy soil from, planting conditioner from the store
Yeah.
and you basically make a big pot in the ground, right? And honestly, that's a great way to do it. Um, it's I'm not here to judge anybody, but it wasn't until I started this journey working on all these farms that I really started to understand uh, really a cheaper way to do it and and a faster way to do it and a more healthy way to do it. It's funny, we buy carbon, right, in the form of soil, bring it to our yards, then we grow plants made of carbon, and then we chop them down and send them away and pay to send them away. When what we can be doing is all these trimmings turning it back into soil. So at this point, I don't need to buy any soil. I just use what I'm literally the carbon I'm grabbing from the sky with the help of my tree friends and turning that into soil, um, turning it into mulch, which also creates environment for all these different kinds of bugs and microbiology. And I'm here, and over the last, I would say, 4 years, I've started to find all these new species. So I find toads like every day. And I'm in the middle of the desert, and I have these beautiful toads and all these different kinds of lizards and all these bird species that I don't see anywhere else, just flocking to this environment. So it's really cool um, in that way, and and it's a closed loop system because I'm not sending carbon away to buy new carbon,
Right.
which is what I did at first, right? So
Yeah, it's quite remarkable when you shift the lens towards how do I just tap into the natural process of Earth? Like, okay, a limb falls, right? Or maybe you have to do some pruning or something. You just take that and put it right back into the earth and continue the cycle of life. It's,
yeah.
it's
Well,
remarkable.
nature does all this for free all the time. You drive down the street and nobody's fertilizing that giant 100-foot tree. Nobody's watering it. So we know nature can do this.
Yeah.
But what I'm able to do on this small plot of land is speed up that cycle. So the tree would have to sense like, oh, this branch isn't getting enough light. So I'm not going to feed it anymore. And then it falls on its own and it doesn't collapse on the ground. It kind of sits on there. So all these other bugs need to kind of come and slowly bring it down. And that process could take years and years. I can do it in like a month, right?
Wow.
And it's that same process. Um, and if you think about it, I probably get, I probably have 10 years of cycle for every 1 year on this property. So it's like I've sped up time and which is awesome, right? I'm living in a fast forwarded ecosystem using my brain and other people's knowledge to really speed up that cycle.
Could you tell me more about that? That's very curious. Obviously, I know that you've trained and you understand how everything works, right? So I understand that piece, but how is it so accelerated such that you're able to do something and really work with nature to enhance the effectiveness and the really the quickness with which things can grow?
Yeah, it was actually tricky at first because I'm on less than a quarter acre here. It's like 8,000 square feet, so space is always a thing, and so I every year, twice a year, I trim all my trees. And it's quite a bit of trimming, right? And now you have this huge pile of tree trimmings. And I've struggled with getting wood chippers out here, renting them, buying them. Um, and they always they always like have some problem with them or um, I don't use them every all year, so
Yeah.
it breaks down or something like that. So what I do now is I make this big pile, I get a chainsaw and I just cut slices into it. And now I've put all of that mass back down to the earth and I bury it in a big hump.
Uh,
And so on this one spot, it's only probably a 10 by 10. Um, I build up all of that twice a year, cover that in soil, and then I put my raised beds on top of that and I water it and do my gardening for that year. And then I move my raised beds after a year or so, and I can dig and harvest all that soil.
wow.
And if you dig into it, it's filled with sow bug, all the roly polies and pincher bugs and all these lizards. It's filled with life, and I'm getting all this soil from it, really healthy soil, and I'm able to use that space
Hmm.
for my annuals, which I want. But because they're annuals, I can move them every year for between the seasons.
Yeah.
So that's one way to do it. Another way is I have this composting bin right here, and so you get all these food scraps through the year, right? And people usually make a big pile out in their backyard, but then you have to put oxygen into that or it stinks.
Mm,
And when it stinks, that's all your nitrogen floating away in gases. Number one, not good for the environment. And it's off gassing your nitrogen in the form of ammonia.
yeah.
And um, so what I do in here is I get, it's like a vermiculture. I use my red wigglers and
Which are worms.
which are worms,
Yep.
and black soldier fly larvae. And so the black soldier fly larvae eat all the kitchen scraps really fast and get it ready for the worms. And the worms are constantly cycling and bringing oxygen into this system. So I never have to turn it. Um, it's really easy. I put some food scraps, I bury it. It doesn't stink, so I can have it really close to my kitchen, which is helpful because I don't want to walk really far with
Sure.
scraps. Because I cover the food scraps up right away, it's not moldy, it's not stinky. And so this is like a high density kind of environment. It happens really fast, the turnover, right? I fill this up like every 6 months or so, and I just have two buckets that I swap between. Um, and then the slow density is all that wood. Like, what am I going to do with all this wood? Usually people pay to haul it away or throw it away and then buy mulch and bring it back.
Yeah.
So those are my two ways of like low, slow time and fast time. And really with that, I don't ever waste anything. Even the cardboard boxes, I grind up all the cardboard boxes and I put that throughout my yard as my mulch layer, and then hay and then wood mulch, mix it together so it's multiple different tiers. So I probably have 2 feet of topsoil throughout my whole yard. And so just in that way, I'm constantly using um, the plants and the trees that are so good at creating sugar, grabbing that sugar and quickly recycling it using the same methods and patterns that the earth does for free. Yeah. It's
Wow.
kind of lots, but
I
um,
really want to underscore something you said, which is you don't have, it's not a huge plot of land that you're working with. It's a relatively small plot of land. So it makes me realize that there are probably a lot of people who I don't know. This is my lens I'm saying this through. Like I'm thinking I need this big plot of land to do gardening with, and that's not true because you can work with a small section of earth and as you've proven, be able to create so much with it and in a diverse, very diverse way, as it sounds like, between all of the different fruit trees and
yeah.
all of the life that arrives. I want to ask you a question about what let's just say before you learned about all these things, right? Maybe before you got to Poway or um, I'm curious how working with the soil and seeing how all of it you're describing works together in harmony to create the conditions for everything to grow. How has that changed your relationship or deepened your relationship with the natural world and all of the beings that you like lizards and frogs and toads and things that show up?
Yeah. So so first, just picture 1 acre of land, right? And it's kind of like a couple football fields, I guess, right? Um, if we created 1 inch of topsoil, there would be 2 elephants worth of microbiology living in that 1 inch of topsoil. So just right there, if you drove to a piece of property and you saw 2 elephants, you'd be amazed, right?
Yes.
You'd be in awe. You'd be like, oh my God, two of these intelligent creatures. This is incredible. Well, I have 2 feet of topsoil on my property, which means in this less than a quarter acre, I have like 8 to 12 elephants worth of soil microbiology. So just understanding that allows you to really tap into the awe and majesty of what's going on underneath our feet.
Mm.
And it takes a whole ecosystem to create health. And so the more biodiverse that ecosystem is, um, the more healthy the ecosystem is. And so, and also, we are sensors of healthy systems. So when I reach into my compost right here, it smells good.
Mm.
And it's my brain sensing that this is a healthy ecosystem because all the same healthy microbiology that is in my compost is the same healthy microbiology in my gut.
Yep.
And so I'm constantly sharing health with the microbes. I, whereas let's say you walk on a an unhealthy plot of land that's only a couple of different kinds of uh, bacterias or funguses in that land, it's getting on you. You're breathing it in, and so a lot of the times we focus on as healthy people on Like, what am I going to do with my body? I need to exercise. I need to eat right. But I'm in a healthy ecosystem with elephants and elephants of invisible life underneath my feet
Yeah.
that I'm in constant communication. So, I mean, I think that kind of, once you understand what's happening, then you can picture it and you can really appreciate it. Uh, and um, and then it's proven by the higher forms of life, like the toads, like the birds, like
Yeah.
all the healthy lizards. I saw this the most beautiful blue belly lizard that I've ever seen. I wish I could show you a picture
Oh.
because blue belly lizards will a lot of times have two blue stripes on their bellies. This blue belly lizard had all this teal and dark blues
Oh.
on its back. Though it was just gorgeous.
Hmm.
And it's because he's fat. And from the time he was little, he's got as many bugs as he could
Yeah.
possibly get. So his body could really focus on attracting females.
Hmm.
And and the same with me, right? And the same with anybody that comes onto this property, or the same that anybody that builds a healthy ecosystem around them. They're getting all the micronutrients, macronutrients that they need, that their bodies can do the rest, really thrive the way it's supposed to. So,
Yes. Thank you. That's a you can't get more basic in terms of a relationship to nature than pointing out that your microbiome actually matches your property,
yeah,
because not only are you interacting and engaging with it, but that's where you're growing your food that you're literally eating, which
yeah,
that I mean, I think that's probably attractive to, it definitely is for me, probably a lot of people, to not have to go to the store to buy these things that are no grown in who knows what kind of conditions or where, or what the nutrient loss is since it comes out of the earth, to actually just open your door, walk out into your property, and with whatever space that you have, you've been able to grow something because of the attention and the understanding that you have about working with the soil and making it such that all those little creepy crawlies can be there to create the foundations of the life.
yeah.
I want
And
to go ahead.
just to add to that, um, it's also a work thing in a sense that once I have a healthy ecosystem, my amount of work is so much less. I don't weed.
Hmm.
I never weed. I never have to weed. I don't fertilize. Um, I don't have any big bug problems, right? There's some bugs, but instantly all these green lacewings, all the ladybugs move in to eat that population. I so the amount of work that I have to do is I trim trees and I water. And a lot of my watering is automated. So I really just get to enjoy these things. I plant it, I walk out to my yard and I'm like, wow, this is, and also to add to just the benefits, um yeah, health, but taste.
Hmm.
My fruit tastes so good.
But
It's ridiculously good. I go to the farmer's market and it gets close to something that tastes good, but the health of my soil provides the plant with everything that it needs. And so it's just like adding a little salt to your food. It brings the flavor out. They have all these minerals
hmm.
that you don't get in when you're just feeding your plants NPK. So
I love this theme of, if you just give nature a chance, it's gonna reward you immensely. And
yeah.
it's no more perfect example than be able to enjoy a piece of fruit that's the best you can possibly ask for. Healthy, nutrient rich, but also the taste of it.
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to come visit your property.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
Try one of
you.
those pomegranates.
Yeah, I mean, you got a month or a couple months, and then yeah, you should definitely come out here, um, because it's just, um, people will come and they'll ask for my fruit and stuff like that, and I'm super hesitant
Yeah,
because um, to me, I think people value it at $5, like what they get in the store, but if I sold this fruit for $100, because let's say I needed the money, there
hmm.
would be a bit of me that misses my fruit, that rather just have my
Sure.
fruit. And so somebody like you, right, that I can really explain the value of this fruit, then it's like, oh yeah, please come and taste it. So that, me and you can really just like enjoy this together and realize that, um, you know, science wise, it's healthy, science wise, it's tasty, but spiritually, um, there's other unknown kind of spiritual frequencies that come from healthy ecosystems that you're also ingesting and imbibing. And then that's the best. That's when I'm like, okay, I'll share.
Well, it's such a great point to speak to that aspect too, because I think I know that for me, for example, one way to counteract so much time sitting at my computer or connected digitally is to go out and walk in nature. When you're
Mm,
talking about working with the land, with your hands in the soil, tending to your land, there's an element that goes beyond just the production of what the trees give you, right? I feel a deep spiritual connection in that. And yeah, I think maybe that's something you didn't know or anticipate at the beginning of your journey, but it's really cool to hear you speak about that because that's another way that it's so nourishing in addition to all the actual nutrients that are good for the organism,
yeah.
right? You just spoke to one of these, what I'm about to ask, but is there anything else that you wish people would know about working with soil, about the intelligence of soil?
Hmm. Well, I think you kind of mentioned it um, at the very beginning. I think a lot of the times when we think about gardens, we instantly think about what I'm gonna get. And it's easy, right? Like I'm gonna plant this fruit tree and I'm gonna get this fig and I'm gonna get this garden.
Yeah.
And really, if we just switch that, Mother Nature is going to provide all of that in abundance to us. But if we first ask the question, how can I make Mother Nature, how can I give back to Mother Nature and make this environment the healthiest?
Yes.
Then I don't have to work so hard, and she wants to give abundantly. And so, because I focus not necessarily on trying to direct things,
Hmm.
but I focus first on speeding up that carbon cycle, speeding up the nitrogen cycle, um, creating that mulch layer, watering the mulch, understanding that I'm feeding the microbes. Because I focus on that, Mother Nature's like, oh, I'll just do everything else for you.
Hmm.
You don't like weeding? Great. Don't weed ever again. Like, you don't want to have to spend a lot of money on fertilizers and pesticides that are going to poison you and poison land. Don't worry. I got you. I'll solve all of that. Um, my property is drought resistant, fireproof, it because there's so much water, right? Um,
Ah,
one tree holds thousands and thousands of gallons of water. And so there's just the list is unending,
hmm.
right? I could spend like an hour of us just like, well, it also does this, right? And so I could try to do all those things. I could try to fireproof my house. I try to drought proof my house. I could try to make a healthier food system for myself. I could try to do all of that, but if I focus first on just giving to the earth and making her happy, covering her up and feeding her, her little helpers and the bugs, they just do all the work for me.
Yeah.
And that's so cool. And I wish everybody knew that because we're so energy intensive in everything that we do. And nature kind of reminds us just how light our hand can be if we are patient enough, right? So you can just go out and buy some raised garden beds. You could go out and dig a big hole and plant a tree in it. And that's all labor intensive. Or you could go lay some mulch and water it and wait a year, and you'll start to notice the entire environment shift. And so if I had to do it all over again, it would have been a lot easier. And actually I would have been at a further place than I am right now if I would have focused on taking care of the earth first before I started thinking about all the things I was going to get from her.
Hmm. It's actually fairly simple in a sense that I'm not saying it's easy to snap your fingers and you have this rich land. Obviously, you have many years of understanding how these things work, but it's not complex in the sense that it's like taking our thinking off of I want this and I this needs to happen like this and just asking, reframing the question towards how do I let Mother Nature do her work naturally? And what can I give that can enhance that? And I think there is even if someone has never studied any of this, right? And maybe they're listening and they want to do something like this, I there's something intuitive that I feel like when you're willing to just go out and connect to the land, that complements the things you research and talk to other people like you, right?
Yeah.
But there's an intuitive capacity that I think we know how to give back to nature. And when we start asking that question, like you said, then that allows us to act on that in the creation of what we want to do with our land. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And there's really systems that you could look over pretty much the entire globe, like swales and berms, um, and terracing, mulching, covering the land. They're really ancient systems that we've known about forever.
Yeah.
And so um, when we really listen to the way the earth is shaped, and like you said, just provide that a little bit extra of the shaping. When you can kind of see how nature does it. You can see a river pass through the land, and down that river there's all these big trees. So on my property, I can switch back and forth that river down the whole thing if I wanted to, right? And so I've just spread out that river. So it's a natural system that the earth does. And I've created it on my entire property now. And so when we start thinking about stuff like that, um, we can build these systems, and then it's a biofeedback layer that every year it just gets more and more and more intense. Um, and your biggest workload is just giving everybody haircuts and harvesting the bounty once we build the systems, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had the pleasure of seeing this property before. I think maybe if people are watching, would you be willing to show us some
Yeah.
of what you've created here with everything you've shared with us about?
Yeah. I apologize if I get a little bouncy here with my thumb, but this is my bin.
Yeah.
And down here, I poke some holes in the bottom of it. And if I dig into this, like I said, it's filled with worms, and it smells so good. It's like a petrichor earth. Ah, it's so sometimes honestly I rub it on my body. And so
One way to connect with the earth.
yeah, one way to connect with the earth and get all the healthy microbes on my body. This is a dragon fruit. I kind of passed up one. I love dragon fruit. It's so good.
Mm,
If you notice, there's a lot of shade in this yard because
yes.
there's basically just pathways. Um, and I, what a lot of people think of is that they think still in scarcity, and that if I have more trees, they're going to compete. But a tree actually only uses 60% of the sugar that it grabs from the sun, and it puts 40% of the sugar back into the soil to feed the microbes. So there's two things you could do for the soil: mulch and roots. And if you think about a mulch layer, it would be one single layer. Um, and the living organisms kind of live in this top layer of humus. But a root shoots down, and like the alveoli in our lungs, there's all these little branches. So the surface area of roots is huge. And
Mm,
if you ever dug up trees, and along that surface area, there's a whole ecosystem, a whole like living city of microbiology. So I plant my trees close and I just trim them up. And sometimes I have a problem with my trees getting too heavy with fruit. This is Fuyu persimmon. Um, Man, I love this. I love Fuyu persimmons, but it gets so heavy. There's just so much fruit on this tree that I'll have to like prop it up and
Wow.
back here, I mean, I could go into like show all my trees. I'm trying to do like a quick little tour. Um,
What a good
this
problem
fig
to
tree,
have.
yeah,
A lot of fruit.
this fig tree is a producer, and I love fig trees because they're such good climbers, and it's huge, man. And a fig is really it's like the top of the bottom of the food chain. There's so many species that have their entire life cycle just around the fig. And so, they come and then they feed other things. I mean, just the life that is on this tree when it's fruiting is it like blows your mind.
Mm,
It really does. Um and like, there's just little pieces of the house
yeah.
and just huge masses. Sometimes I really like a bellflower because it grows fast. So I have a lot of trees that aren't just for just aren't just for producing
Fruit.
fruit,
Right.
but that are fast growing, that I can put in a place that provides tree cover, roots, and then eventually mulch for the entire system. Yeah, peach trees, and this is this is this is what I was talking about the mound. You can't really tell that it's even a big mound, but this has about a couple of years of growth, and so when I mulch it, look how wet this stays, right? And I pour out the water from my washing machine on here to keep this wet. And when I dig into it, there's mushrooms, there's bugs, there's all this. And then we get down, finally, down to a little bit of soil. And I just pulled out a worm right here. But look at
Yes.
that. It's just, and this is free. This is just what I trim from my trees um, every year and cover it up with soil. And so it's so cool because I didn't even lose right here. Um, and so I have watermelons right here. They're so good. And this huge, this huge pumpkin kind of popping up under here, and
Whoa.
everything's really close. So, and then I got this. This is a Royal Blanco grapefruit. It's the best grapefruit in the world. Um, because it's not bitter. Um, it's just they're really sweet. And I put these two. These are mimosas. They grow really fast. You can make a tea from them, and it's to hold up this back. I have a waterway right here, and so when we first got here, this was just a hole and like an old eaten up deck. So I've just been throwing wood down and burying it, and then putting trees and things inside of it to hold this up. So I got more space,
Wow.
and this is such a cool thing. I cut this way back. This is a an elderberry. It's a native to this area. And again, the birds love it. It grows so fast. It's like a really hard wood, so I've been making these cool walking sticks out of it.
Mhm, mhm.
and and yeah, so I got this whole layer. You can kind of see behind. I got this whole layer of all these trees, just really holding this up. Some of them are producing. I got another uh, pomegranate and more figs. Um, I just planted a macadamia nut. The cool thing about being here in San Diego is Mediterranean, and so I get like I can grow pretty much anything here, and because I have so much plant mass,
Yes.
isn't really bad. So I usually grow year round uh, different things, and because most of my plants are trees, um, they're they're perennials, right? So
Mhm.
I don't really have to do too much work. I don't have to plant, and um, yeah, it's a quick tour. I didn't.
Well,
I could do more, but
I think I keep hearing myself say, wow. I probably said it about 10 times so far in this interview. It's amazing that this property that you gave me that image of how it first was when you first showed up with your mom. Some holes, the tumbleweed, mostly barren
yeah,
soil, and look at what you've created by tapping into the natural cycle of nature and giving her what she
yeah,
needs and having an understanding how to work
yeah.
with the soil. Gavin, it's really inspiring because you show
Good.
us what if this is something that's on our hearts to do is to work with the land and maybe grow your own food. You can see that you don't need a
Mhm.
lot of you don't need a whole ton of space. You just really need an
Yeah,
understanding of all the microbes in the soil and how to take what the land gives you and feed it back into the process. I think what might be cool to do is to we can provide some notes for people who maybe want to do this kind of thing with their land. A few things that you mentioned, the black
mhm.
fly larva, the red wiggler worms sound like they're very powerful in breaking down food scraps, which is
Mhm.
fantastic to be able to take something that you eat and then have the whatever you don't eat from that feed back into your land. And
Yeah,
it's just remarkable to me. I always think of compost as like stinks, but the way that you
Mhm.
described adding it into the soil and mulching it and
Mhm.
combining with all these other elements that it doesn't smell, that's pretty
Yeah,
remarkable too. Is there
yeah.
anything else that you um I know you're starting to help people take their
Mhm.
spaces and their land, be able to work with it for what they want to create. Is there anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, well, yeah, you kind of spoke to it a little bit. I think the big dream that's been coming to everybody is, oh, I want to go homestead. I want to leave the suburbs and I want to get a couple acres in the mountains. Um, but for a lot of us, that's just not possible, right? Our jobs are next to the city. Um, and and there's already hobby farms and permaculture farms that are doing such a great job out there.
Hmm.
The opportunity, I think, is all this low hanging fruit is to bring those ideas that we got from the farms, from hobby farms, from homesteading, and do mini versions of that with in high density on our little plots of land. And if you think, if just a few percent of us transformed our land to these living ecosystems, not only would it bring health to us, but right now I'm sitting in all this shade. It's cooling. It's so nice right here. It's a hot San Diego day today. It's been a hot week. Um,
And you're sitting in the shade.
and I'm sitting in the shade and these plants are they're uh they're evaporating water, cooling down the air too, not just a shade thing. Um, we're cooling down the world where I'm sequestering carbon. If we started doing this in even small scale in suburban areas,
Yeah.
we could create these little healthy hubs and bring life back into our cityscapes, into our suburban scapes. And so that's really kind of my passion right now. I would also love to like dip out and get 20 acres in the mountains somewhere. Nobody would ever hear from me again. But I really think like God or source um, keeps me in situations like this so that we can bring this ancient wisdom to landscaping, to the suburbs. And so I've started a little soulscaping company where I want to do this. And I think there's opportunity for really where anyone is at, right? We could just go and put some mulch on your property. That could be the one thing. We could do some raised garden beds. We could plant some trees. We could do some like hardscaping, right? But it's really just about having a place for everybody and doing what we can with the space that we already have,
Yeah.
and not necessarily dreaming about leaving when we can't, when we're just like you.
Mhm.
You're a busy man, right? You would love to have these things, um, even if it's one or two plants to go reach out and grab a cucumber from your garden. And we can do that. There's really nothing stopping us. And so let's do that. Like, and a lot of times we get ahead of ourselves. We want to take, I want 20 goats and 40 acres.
Yeah.
If we're not practicing right now with the little space that we have, when we get there, we're not going to know what to do with it.
Yeah.
We're just going to fail on a larger scale.
Hmm.
So you're here, you have some space. Let's convert that some space, and then you'll start to learn that system over time. And then when you get the 40 acres and the 40 goats, you'll know exactly what to do. You'll be a professional. So
Hmm.
and that's really just the idea of my little company. I'll send you, I started a Facebook. I've been off social media for a while, but I'll send that. And so you could link it.
Sure.
I really would love people to get in touch with me. Um, I love that you're creating a community because I think that's what we really need. And start small with what we do have.
Thank you for speaking to so many elements there. There's a lot of things I could speak to about what you just said, but I want to highlight that what a rewarding way to participate in a climate solution on your own land, right? To help
Yeah,
that natural carbon sequestration on your own land, which ends up being rewarding for many of the reasons we've discussed. But Gavin, I really appreciate how accessible you make it, even for people who are busy. They may not have a whole ton of time. Um, they may not have a lot of space, but
yeah,
your passion for soil and everything that it produces and all the creatures that come visit and live in the soil is just it's infectious. And I
yeah,
definitely encourage people to I will post your page to check out Gavin's Soulscaping. Anyone who's watched this can see how um, how rewarding it is to be able to work with the earth, and
yeah,
it just you give her a little bit and she'll respond in droves with
yeah,
lots of low-hanging fruit.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up about soil or about your journey, Gavin, that you haven't shared yet?
Yeah. I'm not really saying anything new. None of this is my knowledge. How I combine things might be uniquely mine, but we're really standing on the shoulders of giants. There's people that have been doing this for a long time
Yeah.
that have figured this out. And I'm not just saying like the people that we know in the like Elaine Ingram, not just the people that are alive today, but literally our ancestors for thousands
Yes.
of years learned how to be one with nature.
Hmm.
And it's just over the last couple hundred years where we left the farms and we moved into areas like this. And and we see these skyrocketing depression, anxiety, bone diseases, where our Pliocene ancestors didn't have that. And sometimes we want to copy what they did and like, oh, I'll eat like them, right? But I think the key is nature, right? And being reunited with the earth. And what that does for your health, but also for your spirit and for your soul, for your sanity.
Hmm.
Like you said, walking in nature, right? So why not surround yourself with nature? Still go on your walks, but why leave your property to get reunited with nature? And
Hmm.
I really think that that true that true Holy Land is alive and abundant. Like how you know it's alive and abundant is like you'll know it by its fruits. You'll know it by the beautiful lizards and all the birds that are coming and the life that flocks to you. That's all the proof that I need besides the good tasting fruit. Um, it's the healthy ecosystem and my mind notices that. Just like if you were in a messy room,
Yes.
even if you're not complaining and getting down on yourself for being in a messy room, if our yards are sterile and dead, our brains subconsciously pick that up.
Great point.
So it's just so important for so it's I think it's like a panacea. It's just so important for us personally, for the world at large, for communities,
Mm.
for this evolution of humanity on this planet right now to do this and to not wait. Whatever you have, let's transform that right now. And then the earth abundance manifestation will give you more when you take care of what you have
Hmm.
as stewards of the earth, right?
I can't think of a better point to end on, Gavin. I really appreciate you tying in the mental health piece because this is another natural solution to be able to
Yeah.
just be on your land and appreciate everything that it can give. Thank you so much. You're exceptionally well spoken. And
Thanks.
again, your passion, your understanding is just so infectious and it's accessible. It's so inviting.
Yeah.
Like I want to go find some soil and start working with it right now. So thank you for
Yes.
igniting that in me, and I'm sure in many people who have watched this. Thanks for the tour of your land as well. It's just so amazing to see what you've created there and for letting us live vicariously through you here in video.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity and bringing us all together
It's my pleasure.
to give, and let's combine them like one giant gift.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in. That's what we're about. Absolutely, Gavin. Well, thank you, my friend.